In this video, we'll be attempting the 2026 JAMB CBT question for the subject biology. This is the second module. In this module, we'll be attempting question 7 to 10. Let's begin. Which of the following features of paramecium is not an advancement over amoeba? The possession of A. Definite shape, B. Cilia, C. Oral groove, D. Nucleus. Which of the following features of paramecium is not an advancement over amoeba? The possession of. Alright guys, so I always made emphasis on this, that before you attempt any question, please ensure that you understand the question very well. Okay, this is very, very important. So let's look at paramecium. Paramecium has a fish shape due to its pellicle. Paramecium has a fixed shape. The shape of paramecium is fixed. Like this is how a typical paramecium looks like. So paramecium has a fixed shape. Amoeba has an irregular shape. Amoeba has an irregular shape. Okay, please take note of this. Let's look at option B, cilia. Paramecium uses cilia for movement and feeding. This paramecium here uses cilia for movement and feeding. Are you with me? Please take note of that. You can jot everything I'm writing on this whiteboard. You can jot them down. Amoeba uses pseudopodia for movement. Okay, amoeba uses pseudopodia for movement. Oral groove. Let's look at oral groove. Paramecium has an oral groove to direct food into the cell. Paramecium has this. Paramecium has oral groove. Now paramecium uses this oral groove to direct food into the cell, while amoeba engulfs food using pseudopodia. Amoeba engulfs food. Amoeba engulfs what? It engulfs food. Okay, so amoeba engulfs food. Please just take note of this. Now, let's look at nucleus. Let's look at nucleus. Both amoeba and paramecium, they both have nucleus. From these various options, if you look at all these options, you realize that this is kind of unique to different individual. Devil shape, amoeba has a fixed shape. Um, sorry, paramecium has a fixed shape. Amoeba has an irregular shape. They use different they have different locomotion for movement. Other group, the way they engulf food is it differs. Now, if you look at nucleus, you realize that nucleus is both of them, both amoeba and paramecium, both amoeba and paramecium actually has a nucleus. So let me read the question again. Which of the following features of paramecium is not an advancement over amoeba? So nucleus is the correct option from this question, in the sense that nucleus is actually common to both. Do you understand? So option D is very correct. Let's move to question 8. Question 8. Which of the following diseases result from the deficiency of insulin? Are you with me? Which of the following diseases result from the deficiency of insulin? A. Cretinism. B. Goiter. C. Beriberi. D. Diabetics. Let me read the question again. Which of the following diseases result from the deficiency of insulin? Look at this question carefully. The important word here is insulin. The important word here is insulin. Once you remember the function of insulin, the question becomes very straightforward. Insulin insulin means blood glucose regulation. Insulin means blood glucose regulation. Okay, you can write that down. Insulin means blood glucose regulation. Insulin is an hormone. Is an hormone. Are you with me? Insulin is an hormone that is being produced by the beta cell of the pancreas. An hormone that is being produced by the beta cells of the pancreas. So, in a nutshell, insulin is produced insulin is produced in the pancreas. Okay? Insulin is produced in a nutshell, insulin is produced in the pancreas. Insulin is an hormone that is produced in the pancreas. All right. Understanding that, let's forge ahead. Let's look at the function of insulin. Its major function is to lower blood glucose. The major function of insulin is to lower blood glucose level by helping body cells take up glucose and promoting the storage of excess glucose as glycogen. So insulin promotes excess glucose as glycogen. Okay? So when there is insufficient insulin production, blood glucose becomes abnormally high. Blood glucose becomes abnormally high, which leads to diabetics. Which leads to diabetics. Which leads to diabetics. Are you with me? Let's look at option A. Cretinism. Cretinism is associated with severe thyroid hormone deficiency during childhood. Okay, so this is cretinism. Are you with me? Let's look at goiter. Now, goiter is actually an enlargement of the thyroid, an enlargement of the thyroid gland. That is goiter. Let's look at beriberi. Okay, beriberi results from a deficiency of vitamin B1. Vitamin B1 is thiamine. Okay. So let me read the question again. Which of the following diseases result from the deficiency of insulin? The correct option here is option D, diabetics. Let's forge ahead. Question 9. Root hair absorb water from the soil by option A, diffusion, option B, osmosis, option C, plasmolysis, option D, translocation. Root hair absorb water. Please, the keyword here is water, which is a solvent. This is a very common JAMB question. Now, to understand how water moves, let's say this is a soil. and then this is the root of the soil, of the tree. Okay, this is a tree. Once we understand how water moves, this question becomes very easy. Osmosis, let's define osmosis. Osmosis is the movement of water molecule from a region of higher water potential. Can you see? This is higher. From a region of higher water potential to a region of lower water potential. Now, the higher water potential is soil. It moves to a region of lower water potential, which is the root, through a selectively permeable membrane. There is a membrane. There's kind of a medium for movement. You understand? So, water moves from a dilute solution to a more concentrated solution through a selectively permeable membrane. Let's look at diffusion. Let's look at diffusion. Diffusion is the movement of particles. Please take note. Diffusion is the movement of particles from a region of higher concentration to a region of lower concentration. From a region of higher concentration to lower concentration. Okay, let's look at plasmolysis. Now, plasmolysis occurs when a plant cell loses water. When a plant cell loses water. When a plant cell loses water, okay? When a plant cell loses water, causing the cell membrane to pull away from the cell wall. So, we already know that plasma is about plant losing water. How about translocation? Now, translocation is actually the movement of manufactured food. Translocation is what? The movement of manufactured food, particularly sugar. Through the phloem from sources to sinks. Now, let me read the question again. Root hair absorb water from the soil by. The correct option is osmosis. Why? Because it's talking about a solvent, and osmosis involves movement of solvent from soil to root. Alright, so let's forge ahead. Okay, let's forge ahead. Let's look at question 10. The vessel that carries blood from the heart to the lung is called an artery because it A. contains oxygenated blood, B. contains more blood than the other vessels. C. Carries blood away from the heart. D. Has thick inelastic wall. The vessels that carries blood from the heart to the lungs. The vessels. Are you with me? The vessels that carry blood from the heart to the lungs is called what? Please, I want you to take note of this because this question is kind of tricky, but at the same time, you should be able to, you need to understand what this question is trying to say. Now, a blood vessel is called an artery not because it carries oxygenated or deoxygenated. Now, a blood vessel is called artery not because it carries oxygenated or deoxygenated, not because it's carrying oxygenated or deoxygenated, but because it carries blood away from the heart. Are you with me? So a blood vessel is called an artery not because it carries oxygenated or deoxygenated. No, that is not the reason. The reason is because it carries blood away from the heart. Okay? Because it carries blood away from the heart. Are you with me? Let's take for instance, pulmonary artery carries deoxygenated blood from the heart to the lung. Pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery. It carries deoxy blood from the heart to the lungs.